I'm going to read a comment I got last night on YouTube. I'm reading this to try to prove a point. I'm not bragging. I want to prove a point about politics. Anthony Christina said this. So please understand. I'm not bragging when I read this comment. It's about politics. Anthony Christina said this. He said, "Not understanding how you have so few subscribers. I mean, considering ESPN and the major networks have become so political and speak on so few actual sports these days, you are easily the best commentary on sports. Keep up the great work, man, and go 49ers." Anthony, thank you. That made my day. Politics and sports. I don't talk about politics. I avoid politics at all costs. I don't talk about them because I believe politics divide people. It's not smart. If your business is sports, talk about sports. That's how I see it. I try to see the other perspective. I think that's important because there's always two sides to every argument. There are people that talk about sports. So why are they talking about sports? And then there's people like me who think it's just not smart. So I try to see the other side of every perspective. And I want to say, I completely understand athletes, especially athletes. Media and athletes are different. I understand athletes who feel the need to talk about politics. There are very important issues being discussed right now around the world. Like for me, the biggest issue for me is suicide. My younger brother committed suicide. That one really, really hits home. And when an issue directly affects your life, it really changes your perspective and it changes how much you care and makes you want to talk about it more. And I guarantee, like the way suicide hits home for me, I'm sure that these political issues hit home for some athletes. And I imagine there's a lot of pressure to use their platform to talk about politics. Now, it's a free country. Do literally whatever you want. If you want to cheat on your girlfriend, go for it. If you want to skip a workout, if you want to talk about politics, I don't care. Go for it. LeBron can talk about politics all he wants. I honestly, legitimately, I have no problem with it. I don't mind. But if you're going to talk about politics, if you're going to do anything in this country, every action you take has consequences. And the consequence of talking about politics is it divides people. Look, enough people hate me for my sports opinions. I don't want to give them another reason not to like me. So we just saw the consequence of talking about politics in Seattle. The Seattle Seahawks last year went 9-7 and missed the playoffs. And then they traded away Pro Bowl defensive end Michael Bennett. And now they have released Richard Sherman. He's like an icon in Seattle. Richard Sherman is the guy for the Seattle Seahawks. He's now off the team and gone. I want to be very careful because I don't want to pin all of this on politics. The downfall of the Seattle Seahawks was not only politics. It would be irresponsible to say politics are the only reason the Seahawks did not make the playoffs last year. It's not the case. They got old. They got expensive. The roster was blown up not just because of politics, but it did not help. I said months ago, talking about politics cannot help you. And the Seattle Times is calling the end of the Seahawks. They're saying this is the end of an era. I completely agree. Things are going to change in Seattle. Again, I want to reiterate, injuries played a big factor in the Seattle Seahawks last year. Everybody was getting older. That played a factor. The roster's being blown up because everyone's contract was expensive. But you cannot tell me that talking about politics helped the Seahawks. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. There's a real trend in Seattle. The more political activism we saw in that locker room, the less that they won. In sports, the primary goal is to win games. And talking about politics takes away from the primary goal of winning. Look, I might be going overboard. I can imagine many people watching are angry, and I don't want to make people angry. And again, I want to reiterate, politics were not the sole reason for the Seahawks' collapse. But you cannot tell me that politics did not play a part in the Seahawks' downfall. You can't tell me that. We live in a society where I know, hey, don't bring up politics around the grandparents. It's not smart. I'm not trying to discourage political activism, but in a setting where you need to work together, doesn't help. It divides people. If I need to work with people on a group project, I'm not going to ask them about the president. We got to do the group project. That's the goal, not to change minds about politics. I remember the media was so excited about political activism in Seattle. And I remember thinking, wow, the media is not writing about how much the Seahawks are winning, which that seems to be most important. Winning in football is the most important thing. I was one of the few people months ago who pointed out talking about politics may not be a good idea. It's not helpful to talk about politics in a work setting, and it's not helpful to talk about politics in a locker room because politics divide people. They do. Love it or hate it. You can be mad at me for that, but I really believe the political climate in this country doesn't help you build strong. I don't know. Politics divide people. And talking about the politics in the Seahawks locker room did not appear to help him. It wasn't the only issue, but we can both agree it played a part. Talking about politics was a factor to the Seahawks implosion. If you're watching this video, thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. Please help me grow Strong Opinion Sports by telling your friends about it on Facebook, on Twitter, maybe on Reddit. I have no idea how Reddit works. I don't understand it. So please tell your friends about Strong Opinion Sports. It would help me very much. And if you're watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe down below. Thank you so much and have a great day.